For me, learning with and from each other is paramount when you're actually in a learning environment with teachers. You have peer-to-peer learning, but more importantly, you can actually collaborate in a safe environment where you can get critical feedback from others in a trusted environment. You can actually challenge one another, challenge your beliefs, your assumptions. And what's really important is the fact you can encourage risk-taking. It's in a safe environment, so I can show you my learning tasks, I can get feedback from you. I know that I can then incorporate that feedback, and then I'll actually show you my revised lesson. What is really important as well is when I try it out in the classroom, I can then come back and share with you what I've learned. And then you maybe could take my lesson and try it out in your classroom. So from that perspective, to be able to collaborate with one another, to get feedback from one another, and then maybe to the next stage where actually you're collaborating with one another to design a task together. So that for me, what would be really important would be maybe I could actually work with a teacher in Ireland, I could work with a teacher in France, Spain, anywhere around the world, and we can actually have real, meaningful, authentic learning tasks that we can get our students working together on, that we can work together on, and we're actually building an effective community of practice, not only among ourselves, but actually among our students as well. So in that perspective, it means that you can design really deep, meaningful, authentic learning environments that move beyond the classroom, and that you yourself then become an effective modeler of collaboration, because your students see you not only working in isolation, but actually working with the teachers in a department in school, maybe across the school, across nations, across boundaries. So you really become a really true collaborator. You have to acknowledge as well that there are challenges to teachers collaborating with one another. It's a really positive experiences, but we do actually have to be honest and say, how can we circumvent these challenges? Within the school environment itself, sometimes it's difficult to find time to collaborate with one another. Difficult to actually align your timetables. Sometimes the schools can't build in time for teachers to collaborate within the school environment. But perhaps it would be useful if people looked at the technology and the tools that are available, that you could collaborate outside of the school environment. So there are numerous tools and platforms you could use. That's one thing you could do. The next thing you could look at is looking at different opportunities. How could you actually build in the opportunity maybe across the school day to actually maybe link up with a student or link up with a teacher and say, we will actually look at this together and work collaboratively together. It is tremendously important if a school decides to take this on board and actually build the school environment that supports the culture of collaboration. Perhaps there could be one class period that's built in that's common across a department. So let's say the English department or the French department or the maths department would have one free class where everybody across a certain year group could meet together and look at things that they have in common. Really what would be really powerful would be maybe if there was one common time slot across a year group where all departments could come together and they could collaborate on a big task. So there's not just collaboration within a subject, but collaboration across themes. That's one way you could do it. The next thing is actually having the time. How can you actually factor in time outside of your school day? For me, I would factor in time. I'd stay up late if I thought that I could actually really engage with a teacher if I was, let's say, doing earthquakes. And there were teachers in Japan that had really experience of earthquakes. Now I actually have a really authentic link so that I actually could work with these teachers. And I've done this across time zones. And now it doesn't cost me anything either, because I could actually maybe use Skype. And we could link up together on Skype. We could actually share a common platform and we could share one another's notes. I could actually then pre-record stuff, maybe bring it into my students, etc. The focus is on trying yourself as a professional to look at where you can find opportunities to collaborate with one another. Once you then build up that community of practice, it may not be in your own school, you could actually build that community of practice across nations. That energizes you. Well, it energizes me particularly when I actually get really good feedback. I can actually design really deep, engaging tasks for my students. And when my students are really enthusiastic, that encourages me to keep going. So sometimes the opportunities to actually collaborate can circumvent the challenges. Take this MOOC, for example, for the European SchoolNet Academy. It brings together teachers from all over Europe, for example, from Poland, Estonia, Portugal and Ireland, but also teachers from all over the world who will be participating. It's a wonderful collaborative opportunity for people to work on learning activities.